Good evening to all of our Year 11 parents, and thank you so much for joining us on part 2 of the Raising Achievement Evening for your Year 11 students. I really appreciate you being here tonight and for all of the support that I know you're giving to your children at home. The way the students will achieve the best is where we've got the school, the student and parents working together, and I know that we can rely on your support. So thanks so much for being here. I have to start off by saying a huge well done to your children. They are simply the hardest working Year 11 cohort I have had the pleasure of working with in the 13 years of my career. It was recently commented upon that we at Lambeth have the longest school day for Year 11 of any school in the trust. So that's about 80 schools. You know, and they come in every day, they're focused in every lesson. You know, disruption-free learning is exemplified by the Year 11 classrooms at the moment, and we could not be more proud of them. We're obviously pushing the students to achieve the best that they can because we know it's the academic success that will open doors for them to allow them to have choice over their future. That's a really important part of our mission statement, that students can live a happy and fulfilled life. And we believe the way for them to be able to do this is if they can have choice over what they do in the future. In their assembly on Monday, I asked the students to put their hands up depending on how much effort they were putting in and out of lessons. I think it's safe to say there were a range of answers, with a few students putting their hands up for 100%, and then we moved down 90, 80, 70, 60, 50 and less than 50. So what I think is really important is I don't need to be giving a message to the whole year group constantly to say you need to work harder, you need to work harder, you need to work harder, because actually you know your children better than anyone, and we acknowledge that different students need different messages. So for example, to some of the Year 11s, I'm saying to them, you're working as hard as you can, you're doing everything you possibly can, so you need to focus on looking after yourself and not burning out. For others, perhaps not putting in 100%, not doing all of their homework, not making the most of their online platforms like Hegarty Maths, I would say a different message. I would say, right, you know, we've got 2 weeks before your mock exams, we've got not many months before your real exams. You really, really need to create some sort of momentum and some sort of drive, because it's going to get really real now, and we need you all up at 100%. I say to the students, I know your teachers are working as hard as they possibly can. I think they might be the hardest working Year 11 teachers in any school across the country. And I want the students to at least match this hard work, but preferably to better it. You probably know we've just spent over £9,000 on revision guides to make sure that all of our Year 11 students have free access to these really excellent resources. But my question would be, is your child using them and making the most of this resource? So linked to what I said earlier, I've recently sent out, or Mr. Ung has sent out, a wellbeing survey for Year 11 students. And this is really about acknowledging that we feel like we're doing everything we can for them, but their ideas are going to really help us shape the support we offer this year. So we've asked them, you know, what are they worried about? What more support can we offer them academically? What more support can we offer for their mental health and emotional well-being? And we had a lot of questions about that in the parent forum recently, and it's something we take very seriously, a responsibility that we take very seriously. Now, we do have the mock exams coming up. So in terms of student welfare, we are not going to be running masterclasses for the 2 weeks to allow students more time to do their own personal revision. We're also offering them a free breakfast and a place to study from 7:30 in the morning for anyone that wants to come in and study. The mock exams are always important, and I talked in the Year 11 assembly on Monday about all the reasons and the science behind why mock exams are so important, but particularly important given the uncertainty of the future at the moment. And, you know, we need to strike a careful balance with the students between not scaring them, but being realistic with them. And it wouldn't be fair if we didn't acknowledge that there is a very real possibility that if the exams don't take place at the end of the year, then it will be the teacher predictions and the mock exams that play a big part in your child's final grade. So we need to look after the children. We need to balance that message really, really carefully, especially to a year group who are on the whole working so hard. And just to finish off with a little bit about sixth form. So in our year 11 survey, I've asked the students, whether they're considering us as a sixth form and what more information they would need to make an informed decision for them. Our sixth form is here to serve our year 11 students. Therefore, we want to get as much feedback as possible about what we can do in terms of, we feel like we've got there with the academic success, but we want to offer an excellent enrichment programme. And I know Mr. Hemming and Mr. Mathershaw are going to talk to the students about that in assembly coming up, but it's something we're working really hard on because we know that our sixth form is the best place for the large majority of our year 11 students, and we want to make sure that we're offering a really, really excellent all-round experience. So thank you again for your time. Again, my overarching message is that you should be so proud of your students. They really are working incredibly hard. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of Mr. Rowe and Mr. Ung, who are now going to talk to you about lots of the things that are there and available to support your children. So thank you again for tuning in tonight. If you do have any questions at all as we go through the night, then just type them into the Q&A box, which should be visible to you, and we'll pick these questions up at the end of the presentations. Okay, thank you, and I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Ung.
Thank you, Amy. Hello all, my name is Mr. Ung. I'm the Assistant Principal responsible for raising Key Stage 4. I'd like to take this opportunity to break down the report you should have received in the post. If you're yet to receive it, don't panic. Please just ask your child to collect a copy from me tomorrow, or you'll receive it tomorrow. So I'll need you to have the report in front of you to make this truly effective. The first thing I'd like you to bring your attention to is the attendance and punctuality data. Attendance is the single most important factor in relation to doing well at school. Attendance is so significant. If your child is not in school, then they're falling behind everyone else in their class, the year group, and all of the other year 11s across the country. Please look at the table on the screen and compare it to your child's attendance. If your child is below 96, then we have a problem. Over the course of the year, they'll be missing potentially hundreds of lessons, time that can never be made back. Each day there are 8 lessons, so it's very significant to take time off, especially after all the time we missed last year. Attendance has a huge impact on grades, and students who don't come to school ultimately end up with the lowest grades. Please send them in, even when they're not feeling 100%. Often once they're here, they improve quickly. We will look after them and ensure they're comfortable, but also learning. Now, please take a moment to look at their focus group, or the colour group your child has been placed in. Firstly, I'd like to briefly explain to you how they have been decided. The predictions are numbers now. If you're unaware, the grading system has changed. We now use numbers, 1 being the lowest and 9 being the highest. The difference is that only a certain percentage can achieve each of the grades. So with the system before, an unlimited amount of students could get an A star. Now only the top 4% in the country of each subject will get a grade 9. All of the grades work the same. There is only a certain percentage able to achieve each grade. This is why it's so important your child is here every day working as hard as possible. Otherwise, they will fall behind others. So teachers have made predictions. They've made predictions about what the students are going to probably achieve in their GCSEs based on how hard they're working since the beginning of year 10. This includes their classwork, homework, attendance and attitude. Predictions are compared to targets, which tells us which colour group they're in. I will take this moment to say that these predictions aren't possibly as accurate as we would like them to be. We haven't seen the students for a long time. They're about to do mock exams. After that, we'll be releasing more predictions and have a much better idea about how they'll be doing. So here they are. All of these groups have their own criteria. Now, for you to find out about the colour group your child has been placed in and how to move out, you must visit our website, So I'm quickly just going to show you the website and how to navigate around it. So here is our school website. On the main page, if you scroll down, you'll find a Year 11 tab called Year 11 Essentials. If you click on that, you'll come to a page solely dedicated to Year 11. Has all the contact information you'll need and all the video links from previous events we've held. Down here, you'll also find a link to each of the colour groups. If you click on the link for any group, so say the Platinum group, it will take you to a video on YouTube which will explain exactly the colour group your child's been placed in and all about it and what to do to get out of it. So I'm now just going to go back to the presentation. And lastly from me, I'd like you to look at the behaviour incidents on the report. The most likely behaviour incident your child has done this term would be a homework detention. Homework in Year 11 is not the same as in previous years. The homework we set is either part of the course they must learn or a revision tool such as Hegarty Maths. If your child has a high number of behaviour incidents, then this is an issue. Students who continuously don't do their homework will not achieve the top grades. Please look at the grid on the right side. If a student is going home and working for more than 2 hours, they're almost certainly going to do well in their GCSEs. We have a homework club open every night of the week from 4:30 to 5:30. And if you think it would be beneficial for them to be in there, then please let us know. Thank you for your time. I'm now going to pass over to Mr. Rowe.
Hello all, good afternoon. Just like to go over some of the things that Ms. Welch said and Mr. Ung said. Since we've come back from lockdown, your students have worked incredibly hard and I'm so proud to be their head of year. They're consistently getting their homework done. Their attitude in school and in and around school has been fantastic. And in lessons, they're showing complete dedication to achieving the grades that they want to achieve next year. So what my job today is to explain to you is how you at home can support your child. So organisation, discipline, and revision skills. So the first one is organisation. Knowing exactly what exam boards and having the revision guides for them. Asking teachers or searching online for materials such as past papers. Now, as Ms. Welch said at the beginning, we've spent £9,000 on revision guides and we still have some yet to come. So we still have English to come and a few other subjects, and we'll be handing those out as soon as they do arrive. So please, if your students are at home and they've said to you, sir or mum, dad, we finished our homework, please direct them to a revision guide or try and get them on websites completing past papers. Second is discipline. Are they going to sleep at a decent hour? Not playing computer games until late? Eating poor quality foods and spending an unhealthy amount of time on their phones? You should seriously consider removing computers and students should care enough about your GCSEs to support your decision on that. Does your child need a digital detox? We are beginning a new voluntary tactic to reduce the hours your child spends on their phone. They can hand their phone in on a Monday and get it back on a Friday. This will mean they'll be totally focused and not have the distractions and stress caused by social media. And finally, it's quite funny, the older you get, you want more sleep. And right now, a majority of your students or your children aren't getting enough sleep. Teens need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night to function best. You find it harder to remember information and you can be stressed and have mood swings if not. Students need to teach their bodies signals that you're about to go to bed. For example, taking a shower just before you're going to bed. So it's all about getting your body into a routine. You mustn't be on your computer or phone for at least 30 minutes before bed. And a really good tactic is to leave your curtains open to allow your body to wake up to natural sunlight, which will help support your alarm clock. Now, this piece of information is incredibly key for me, the Lambeth Hour. Now, the Lambeth Hour It's not about quantity, it's about quality, okay, and using your time effectively. So 1 hour can give you so much, it can be so beneficial if it is executed well. So as you can see, if you turn your attention to the clock, 0 to 25 minutes should be spent reading on their notes, checking their topic list, using the flashcards or revision cards that they made, and reading, covering, writing, and checking their answers. Then the next 25 minutes should be spent practicing extended writing, past papers, on Hegarty maths tasks. And then the final 10 minutes should be spent just going over some of their answers and checking it using mark schemes or using teachers' feedback. If this is done effectively, then that is exactly how your students will gain confidence and will be able to perform well in their mock exams coming up next week. We had an assembly, as Ms. Welch said, on Monday, informing the students about Friday the 20th of November. Now on Friday, it's an action-packed day full of exams. As you can see, we've got some French, Spanish, geography, business, history. The exams that we have on that day are endless, so it's going to be a stressful day. So what we would like them to do to ensure that they're prepared for Friday, they need to get up early, they need to have breakfast, they need to make sure that they're hydrated, so they're prepared both mentally and they're prepared both physically. So then on next week, we've decided, obviously they're going to have an inset day, so they will get this time back and have time to relax and recuperate in preparation for the exams the following week. So please do prepare your students for Friday the 20th of November. Finally, from me, tomorrow we do have a revision skills workshop from the Life Skills Company coming in on periods 1 and coming in on periods 2. Now, last year I was lucky enough to see this in action and it was excellent. It gave students real knowledge about how to revise and how to deal with the stresses and the strains that come with being in year 11 and performing in their exams. And students last year left feeling very confident about moving through year 11 at an appropriate pace and well prepared for those exams. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. Finally, from me, I'd just like to say thank you very much, and hopefully you've written some questions that we are able to feedback on and answer for you in the questions or in the comments area. If you do want to get hold of myself, my email address and Mr. Ung's email address have been listed below, or along with the principal's, Miss Welsh's. So thank you very much, parents, for logging in and listening, and look forward to hearing some of your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe. We do only have 2 questions at the moment, which we will answer now, so do feel free to type in any more questions that you may have. We've tried to keep the amount of information that we've given to you really manageable tonight, and to really focus in on the key things that you can do to make a difference for your child at the moment. But like we say, if you think there's more that you'd like to know, then just drop us a line. The first question comes back to the predicted grades, and it's asking that, so this parent feels that the predicted grades do not reflect the grades the student received in the start of year tests. So the question is, are we downgrading on purpose to try and push them to work harder? Your worry is that we'll have another peak and the exams will be cancelled, and what will be awarded will not be a fair representation of what they would have got. I think I'll take this question if that's okay. What I will say is that the tests the students did at the beginning of the year were a very small fraction of the content of the 2-year course. So teachers didn't feel able to predict the top grades off the back of those exams. However, the mock exams coming up in a couple of weeks are going to be a representative picture of what the students are capable of. So by the end of December, we will have much more accurate predictions. Now, if something happened and we went into a you know, they cancelled the exams and we had no more data other than the predictions that have already been given, we will not be sending anything out that we do not think is a fair representation of the students. So please try not to worry about that. We have mechanisms in place to make sure that we are able to predict the students, you know, the best case scenario. So please let me put your mind at rest. No predicted grades will be sent out that are not reflective of your child's ability. So I hope that I hope that allays some of your fears. Mr. Ung and Mr. Rowe, there's a question here about, can there be some PE and exercise sessions for year 11? Now, I know there's sporting opportunities at Kickback Friday, but perhaps we can look into some other opportunities for kind of physical activity.
Yes, we're considering using the gym now that it's available, and some students have expressed an interest in that. I know Mr. Rowe has also done boxing with students in the morning as well, and we're going to look into things going forward because a few students have raised this.
Okay, great. And we've got a question here. It seems likely that GCSEs won't happen next year. What real impact is this going to have on moving forward to A levels? Well, the answer is very little. And just like this year, we will be basing student suitability for A levels on the child's predicted grades if the exams were to be cancelled. And actually, we found that was almost more positive because some students were able to access A level courses because, you know, we knew the students were capable, when always with real exams, some years you get students who just miss out on the grades and they're not able to sit those A level subjects. So there won't be an impact on students moving forward to A levels. So please don't worry about that. Question here about, could I ask when new predicted grades will be ready? Thinking for sixth form applications need predicted grades there by December. So our next round of predictions will not be available till towards the end of December. However, what I suggest you do is get in touch directly with Mr. Rowe and Mr. Ung. Let us know who your child is and we can just go back to teachers and make sure that they've really got the most accurate predicted grades possible. Okay, question here. What do you recommend in regards to reducing stress and pressure, in some cases fear, for children for upcoming exams? I've got a few ideas, but Mr. Rowe, do you maybe want to take that one?
So again, just elaborating on what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So hopefully we're going to be doing a lot more workshops in regard talking about handling stress and handling anxiety, because it's clearly evident that year 11 is a pressure year and some of our students are suffering from that. Also in regards to the extracurricular activities and making sure that they are physically active, because we do realise that students are missing out on that opportunity. So we are trying to maximise the opportunities that students do get to get some fresh air and to get in and around moving. So for example, every single Friday we offer Kickback Friday to students who have continuously been doing the right thing. So we open up the sports hall, open up outside, open up the dance studio, open up classrooms for students to come in and relax and to really let their hair down to make sure that they're getting out some of the stresses and strains so they can have their phones and whatnot. Members of staff were also invited to play against some students from that they also teach. We've also hopefully will be launching our house system. So our house system really will underpin and help trying to alleviate some of the stresses and strains that students are going through. So there'll be events during lunch times, during break times, after school, before school, where students can interact with other students. Some of it may be via internet links and Skype if it's with other years, because we do want to maintain and protect that bubble, but we will put it on a lot more events that really do take students' minds off their exams. So hopefully all of those techniques will be available. And again, we're working really hard in terms of mentoring. We do have an academic mentoring program that we are going to launch earlier than suspected. So it was meant to be in March. Last year we did it in March. This year I believe we're going to be doing it as soon as we come back, where each pupil will be assigned a mentor so they can talk about any stresses and maybe strains that they are having, whether it be personal or whether it be academic. So hopefully those things combined will help alleviate some of the stress from in year 11.
Thank you. And just add on to that, I know some of the students have now started using the free app Headspace, which is a mindfulness app. It has 10 free sessions on it. Really good way to kind of bring down levels of anxiety and particularly physical fear and stress. It just takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's a guided mindfulness session, and we've found that to be really successful with students. Okay, entry requirements for sixth form. The answer is it really depends on whether you want to take the A-level or the BTEC programme. We're going to have an assembly with Year 11 on Monday that go through the entry requirements, and I will ask for them to be put up on the website so you can access them. But if your child wants to do A-levels, they need to be getting at least 6 grades 9 to 6, and then there are specific entry requirements for each A-level. And if they want to do a level 3 BTEC, we're looking at 5 grades 9 to 5, including either English or maths at grade 5. What I would say about that is we will not put a child on a course where we don't think they're going to be successful. That's where our entry requirements are coming from. But if you've got any more specific questions, then I can always put you in touch with the sixth form team. A question here, can you provide past papers for children to practice? Is there a place where we can download them?
Yes, definitely. We can do all the printing here, so it just comes down to them requesting it. But I think it's maybe a good idea for us to take the initiative and get them sorted. The students do know lots of websites themselves, but what we'll do tomorrow is we'll suggest for students to come to us if they would like a past paper printed. And we can find the paper for them. Of course, they just need to come with the subject they would like it. And
obviously, and then also we can add some appropriate websites to the actual website, so they can just click on the links for per subject. So we can get that done as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. And I know if students speak to their teachers, even if you just do a basic Google search of the specification and the subject, there's loads available online. I know, for example, for maths papers on Corbett Maths, which will be familiar to your children, on Maths Genie, there's loads of resources out there, and I'm sure the same is true of other subjects. So probably a Google search along with some help from the teacher will answer that question. There's just a message here saying, I'd like to thank all the teachers for supporting Year 11 students. You are doing a brilliant job, such dedication at such a difficult time, and I will be sure to pass that on to staff tomorrow morning in our staff briefing, so thank you for that. And a question, are the mentors teachers? If not, are they checked?
They are teachers, and they're not every teacher. We only pick the teachers we think are appropriate, so I will approach the staff. The programme's been running throughout the last few years, so we know the staff in mind already, and particular teachers will fit a certain criteria. So if a student's struggling with anxiety levels, we have members of staff that we think would be more appropriate to be with that student. If it's a case of they need an academic push, then again, we've got staff in mind for that.
Lovely message saying second that, you are all amazing. I mean, that really means a lot to us, so thank you very much, and thank you for your support. And then lots of other lovely messages coming in, so we really appreciate those. Thank you. I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds just in case anyone else has got any questions, so that we don't miss any at the end.
Also, just to add on to that exam questions and exam papers, the revision books that we handed out are littered with exam questions in them. So please don't hesitate again to point your students in the direction of those exam books and the revision guides that we've given, because there's ample amount of exam questions in them as well.
We do have one more question here. There's a lot of homework, obviously partly revision, but doesn't seem to have much time, if any, for revision in the evenings. I will hand this question over, but this is definitely a common theme that we've taken away from the Year 11 survey. So I think there's a piece of work for us to do around getting the balance right between homework and allowing students have time for revision. However, I do want students to also acknowledge that the homework they're being set is essentially just structured structured revision, because it's planned in by their teachers to make sure that they are preparing for the exams. So, you know, homework is the priority, and then obviously revision on top of that. But I think that's an ongoing thing that we need to look at. I don't know if you agree, Mr. Ung.
Yeah, me and you only had a meeting about that the other day, and I think the message definitely for the duration of the mocks is going to be all homework needs to be revision based, whether that is doing a past paper or it is just doing Hecate maths. It depends, but we are going to make sure that homework throughout the mocks is specifically catered towards revision for the mock exams themselves. And like you said, a bigger piece of work for maybe after Christmas is what are the homework expectations.
Thank you. So more lovely comments. Thank you for that. I've got a question here. A named student is finding it difficult to do the homework. Please, I'd urge you to get in touch using those email addresses that you can see on the screen. I think that's really important that we bring you in for a parent meeting along with your child, so that we can make sure that we're putting in all the things we need to support him with doing his homework.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And we have homework club, like I said. Teachers drop in as well, so it's not just a case of here's a room, sit and do your homework. We actually have the teachers themselves that come in and work one-to-one with students, and that would be a good place for that student to attend. Mr. Rose just pointed out we also
great. And then just a reply to a question saying structured revision is all good. Thanks so much. Okay, and we've come to the end of the questions. So again, I'm just going to give another 30 seconds just in case anyone has any final questions. Will the link to this presentation be via the website? Can you send the PowerPoint out? I'm going to ask Mr. Ung to get this posted to the Year 11 Essentials page on the website. So yes, you will have access to it. This is definitely one for Mr. Rowe. Do you recommend any superfoods that can boost concentration?
That's a very good question, and I think the key thing to boost concentration is being hydrated. Now, we've given out Lambeth Academy water bottles, and about 50% of the students are using them very effectively, but the key to make sure that their concentration is up is staying hydrated. So having a meal in the mornings, making sure they're having lunch at school, but definitely the key to concentration is hydration. And yeah, the appropriate food. So after school, when we do walk into the Clapham Common, we do see a lot of children feasting on chicken and chips. And again, those type of macronutrients and those saturated fats aren't the best for concentration and making your body sort of a shrine for education and concentration. So definitely more healthier snacks, but hydration of water is key.
I'm very glad we had Mr. Rowe on the call there, because I'm not sure you would have got such a good answer to that question if not. Okay, so unless any more questions come in within the next 30 seconds, I think we're going to draw the evening to a close. Just while we're waiting, I'd like to say another big thank you to all of you for all of the support that we know you're giving your children. Our doors are always open to you, whether that's to support your child, whether that's to give us feedback about what we're doing, whether that's to give us new ideas. You know, I keep saying this, but we are here to serve you and your children. So please do keep those channels of communication going. And I don't think there are any more questions. So we will bid you all a good evening, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.